just want to sit over here. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you guys so much for coming. It really means so much to our family. Thank you. There are moments in life that change everything. Moments that turn your world upside down. Our world, as we knew it, was gone in an instant, replaced by a reality that we never could have imagined. From that moment on, I had a choice. I could let the weight of it defeat me, or I could dig deep, hold onto hope, and fight for our future. I chose hope. I chose to fight, and I chose to never give up. Since then, there have been challenges that have tested every ounce of me. And through it all, I discovered something, a strength that lives inside of me until life demanded I rise. But what I saw was even something more powerful than my own determination. I saw my son Noah's strength, because Noah, my Noah, is a warrior. Fierce, determined, unstoppable. Noah became living proof that even in the hardest moments, there is always something worth fighting for. Noah's journey began in the ICU at Joe DiMaggio Hospital. In those first terrifying days, we were held up by two extraordinary doctors, Dr. Greisman and Dr. Eisner, both of whom are here tonight. Just looking over for them. Oh, he's trying to hide right over there. Dr. Greisman was Noah's ICU doctor. His compassion, expertise, and guidance helped us through the darkest chapter of our life. Dr. Eisner has been constant support along the way. His steady presence and commitment to Noah's recovery has made an impact that words cannot fully express. From those early days, I continued searching for answers. I wasn't just searching for a place. I was searching for hope. Most rehab facilities fall short of what the client actually needs. They prepare you for life in a wheelchair. They are governed by insurance that regulations with minimal therapy hours, and there's lack of electrical stimulation. I refuse to accept this. If you know me, you know this. I would go to the ends of the earth for my family. I have traveled across the country searching for the best recovery center, from Johns Hopkins to Shirley Ryan to the University of Miami and countless facilities in between. I sat with some of the world's leading neuroscientists, such as Dr. Perez, Dr. Stoops, Dr. Sadowski, and most recently, Gil Hakim, the CEO of Mattress Self, soon to perform the first ever human spinal cord implant in Israel. Every decision, every mile, every sacrifice has been for one reason, and that is to give Noah the best chance of recovery. And somewhere along this journey, I met an incredibly special person. I'm looking for her right now, Amy Applebaum. I don't know where she is, over there. And I reconnected with her. And Amy, you believed in me, you believed in Noah, and I'm forever grateful to you and all of your guidance. And you introduced us and opened our eyes to activity-based training, which is a rare approach found only in places that refuse to accept limits, places like CORE. Over here is the whole CORE team in the front row. That I'm so appreciative that they're here with us. At CORE, the question isn't how far can you go under the rules? The question is, how far can we take you if we never stop trying? That spirit, that relentless belief in possibility inspired Harris and I to start our own foundation called You Can Do Hard Things. That phrase first entered our lives through Noah's first grade teacher, Miss Elliott, who is also here tonight, and I see her right over there. Miss Elliott is here sitting alongside Noah's other extraordinary and very special teachers, Mrs. Denoya, Mrs. Harris, Mrs. Leeds, Mrs. Chavez, Mrs. Vassy, Mrs. Zimmerman, Wilson, and Dr. Wolf are all joined virtually All of them have stood unconditionally with our family, with endless love and support, and we are so grateful for all of you for being here tonight. "You can do hard things" was Miss Elliott's mantra. It was a gentle but powerful reminder to a classroom full of children that no matter the challenge, they could push through. It was meant for tying shoelaces or spelling tests, but to our family, it meant so much more. And we used it often in our home, just through different difficulties. We never imagined that those words would one day hold us up in Noah's injury. "You can do hard things" became our compass, the words we leaned on when everything felt impossible. We wanted to take that belief and turn it into something bigger, something that could give hope to others the way that CORE gave hope to us. So it was clear, our foundation would dedicate its first ever event to CORE. At CORE, they are more than trainers, they are family. It was founded by Matt Davies and Melody, who you will hear from tonight. Dana, Katie, and David play crucial roles in keeping COREs running smoothly and support every family who enters through their doors. Noah's lead trainers, Mallory, Matt, and Dylan, are all here tonight as well. They have played such a huge role in how far Noah has come. They don't see Noah's limits, they see his potential. They have enabled him to make progress we only once dreamed of. They've celebrated all of his milestones right alongside of us. And most of all, they believe in him. I want to thank Harris, Brooke, Ron, Jane, Andy, my brother Drew, my parents, Logan, Noah, Jacob, Jordan, and Josh. Their love and willingness to step in has carried us through our hardest moments. We are a strong family. We lift each other up, and we can get through anything together. Harris and I want to take a moment to thank a few individuals who have made tonight possible. They don't like the spotlight, and they certainly don't do it for recognition, but their hearts and their selflessness and their tireless dedication made this evening so special for Noah and our family. Rachel Weiner, Annie Becker, Melissa Beebe, and Jessica Israti, thank you so much for traveling to CORE, for immersing yourselves in learning about spinal cord injuries and becoming experts on this type of recovery, for showing up for my family, for Noah, and words fully cannot express how much I love all of you and how I appreciate you making tonight's vision become a reality. And thank you. And as I look into this audience, I see so many familiar faces, faces that have been there for my family, have checked in with us, have supported us, have carried us, and loved us in ways that have meant so much to Harris and I and Noah and Logan. So thank you so much. Tonight just isn't about Noah's story. It's about the power of community. It's about turning pain into purpose and hope into action. And together, we can do hard things. So thank you. As I prepare to introduce our next speaker, I struggled to find the right words to describe her. How do I do justice in recognizing what a profound effect you have had on Noah? You've stood by him. You have helped him reach milestones that I never dreamed that he would reach. You have cheered him on. You have lifted him up. You have pushed him. And I so appreciate you. And you are one of the most special people I have ever met in my life. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sloan, and thank you to Harris and the entire extended Howard family. Wow, what a community. I'm Mallory Robinson. I'm the Executive Director of CORE, Center of Recovery and Exercise. Over the past 16 years that I've been a part of the neurorecovery field, I will say there is nothing more important than community. People you can lean on during difficult times and celebrate during life's greatest moments. The support, the connections, the strength provided when one feels they have no more to give. There is truly nothing greater. Like most of you, I knew very little about spinal cord injuries before I got into this field. My connection was through a childhood family friend that became paralyzed from a slip and slide accident. At the time, I was a sophomore in college at the University of Florida, go Gators. And little did I know that his story would change the trajectory of my future career, as I soon found a deep sense of purpose and passion to help others working to recover from a devastating diagnosis. Motivating them to do the hard things, not because they necessarily had a choice, not because they necessarily had a choice, but because they must fight to reclaim their life for themselves, for their loved ones, for those that told them they couldn't. Through hard work, prove that the impossible is possible. I know each of you in this room are connected to the Howards in a special way that led you here tonight, and CORE is honored that you have all welcomed us with open arms and open hearts. There's a few phone calls that stand out over the past 16 years. A mother in 2012 whose daughter became paralyzed her freshman year of college. In 2015, a gentleman calling on behalf of a family friend's son, a Division I lacrosse player, who became suddenly paralyzed from the neck down. I remember the questions, the devastating stories leading to these tough phone calls, the unexpected circumstances, the fear, but also the sense of hope at the end of the call. I remember the call in late December of last year from Harris and Sloan while they were still in Chicago at what is rated the #1 neurorehabilitation hospital in the country. They called after hours, but I was still there and answered the call. I typically am not the first point of contact as we've grown in recent years. Well, unless the phone rings more than twice, then I answer. That's my rule, and I'm sure some of my leadership team that's here tonight is smiling because they know this to be true. You never know who's on the other end of the line, and I know firsthand how important it is to pick up the phone when someone needs you. The Howards had a lot of questions, great questions, educated questions. It was clear they had done their research. Their main focus was on the specialized equipment and technology that they had read and been told was providing the greatest opportunity for individuals with spinal cord injuries to recover. Even more specific, for a child. After a few minutes of screening, mainly by them, I might add, not me, which was new, I could feel them getting excited, and Sloan asked to add her father into the call. He was in Florida and was the one they were sending out into the field to tour facilities. She and Harris knew how critical it was to get Noah in an aggressive therapy program right away. Sloan's father quickly agreed to drive up to CORE the very next day and asked Sloan to please stop asking questions as it was after hours and I needed to go home. I still laugh at our conversation, and if I'm being honest, I would have talked to them for hours. I knew we could help Noah and was eager to guide them in navigating this new world. A world with more questions than answers, no current cure, and very few places that could provide them what they were looking for. Was it possible that a small, privately owned facility, just a morning drive away, only known by those within the small industry of activity-based training and even smaller pediatric spinal cord injury networks, would be the answer for Noah's continued recovery journey outside of the hospital? The answer was yes. CORE was founded out of passion, heart, and an understanding that individuals living with paralysis deserve the opportunity to optimize their health and reach their highest recovery potential. 20 years ago, most weren't even given the chance. Today, we are making it possible and will continue to push boundaries to get results. I believe CORE's success over the past 14 years is because we have stayed grounded in who we are, truly committed to the paralysis community, and the forward thinking not only for what was in 2011, but for today and years to come. I could talk up here all night about CORE, the CORE Foundation, our clients, the stories, but there's no greater story told than by the person themselves. So without further ado, it is my honor and privilege to introduce our first speaker, the man I met initially as a client, where he and his wife, Melody, quickly saw the impact activity-based training had on his life and wanted others in similar situations to have access to this. A leader in the Central Florida community who not only changed my life, but the lives of so many others in the paralysis community. The owner of the Center of Recovery and Exercise and founder of the CORE Foundation, Matthew Davies.
Thank you, Melody. Well done. Hello, everyone. How's the volume? Good? Mallory, thank you very much. You can tell what drives CORE. It's easy to see that the passion and the impact on our clients is what Mallory embraces has moved us forward so quickly. One other I'd like to take a moment, and one other person I'd like to really recognize. I'm sure you can appreciate this. I wouldn't be here, CORE wouldn't be here, and we wouldn't be having this event if it weren't for my dear wife, Melody. So for context, let me give you a little bit of perspective on where we were back in 2001, 2002, 3, and 4. Melody was a hospital system executive, and I was a health plan executive in the Orlando area. As you may know from the news, those two entities don't always get along and often find ways to put the public environment in jeopardy. But despite all that, we managed to succeed in doing what was best for our organizations and doing what was best for our community. One thing to start with is just this description of what our relationship was at that point in time. I would describe it as careful but exciting. Whenever possible, we took advantage of the success we had in the business world to enjoy ourselves. We were very focused on how to improve the health of the community and how to improve the health of individuals that we knew. We were focused on our respective children. We were focused on our respective families, and we were focused on our travel adventures. So stay with me on this. Imagine that instead of a sweater, I'm wearing a black Harley-Davidson jacket. We were professionals, we were parents, and we had a Harley-Davidson. Life was good. Now picture, if you could, when we weren't in the environment of trying to affect the healthcare system, we were on the North Shore of Oahu on our Harley-Davidson, cruising along over Big Sur, watching the waves and the rocks. That was our bliss. Or we were on the Pacific Coast Highway from San Francisco to San Diego, wondering how it is that we would go back to silly old Orlando and still survive. Keeping our family in mind, however, we would take ourselves down to the bottom of the Grand Canyon, riding on a mule, a little bit slower than a Harley-Davidson. And if you haven't ever done that, you'll come to appreciate just how much you love a mule. Then, fast forward to 2005, October 12th, as Sloan was saying, meaningful day in our lives that changed everything very quickly. I was traveling very early in the morning, 6:15 or so, going from our main office in Orlando to a satellite office in Jacksonville. Weather was horrible, raining, overcast. I was going along at 65 miles an hour, always within the rules, passing a truck stop just before you reached 95. The truck stop was full. The weather was horrible. As a result of that, trucks were parked on the shoulder of I-4. Unfortunately, a single decision by one of the truck drivers who was on the shoulder before the rest area was to decide not to go through the rest area to get his truck up to speed, but instead to pull across the entrance of the rest area and pull into the right-hand lane of I-4. In retrospect, one of the most positive things is that I have no memory whatsoever of that morning. But those who witnessed the accident were able to give the information to the police and experts to determine that that truck was probably going 21 miles an hour. 65 for me, 21 for him. I managed to glance off the back of the trailer, but then slammed into the back of the tractor trailer sitting on the side of I-4 on the shoulder. So I probably went from 50 to 0 in very quick terms. I was not in good shape. And here's where circumstances can sometimes take something in your life that is so tragic and give you the opportunity to keep living. The protocol being experimented with by the county emergency services where the accident occurred was to launch their rescue helicopter as soon as they heard anything of an accident. They may put the individual in jeopardy. That was me, and I was in jeopardy. As a result of that protocol, that morning, the rescue helicopter landed on I-4 a few minutes later. Had they not executed that procedure, I would have been transported by land from the accident site to Halifax Hospital. It's very apparent, given my trip in the helicopter, that I would not have made it. The extra equipment and the speed with which they were able to cover that distance to Halifax saved my life. That was a blessing. 10 days later, I left Halifax by flight up to Shepherd Center in Atlanta. At that point in time, I had a titanium cage that stabilized my spinal cord, and I was able to function to a level that kept me alive. 2 months later, another blessing, on Christmas Eve, I was released from Shepherd and transported by flight back to Orlando. At that time in our relationship, Melody was in one household, and I was in a second household. We weren't really fully together yet. I never went back to my household. To give you an idea of what changed on that day back in October, I never visited again the home that I was in. Instead, I landed in Melody's domain in her home with her children, and they embraced me as one of their own. Another blessing. For the next year, I went through what was traditional occupational therapy and physical therapy until October of 2006, 1 year after the accident. Having been on the health system side, on the insurance side, I knew the terms that I was then going to be delivered. You've now met maximum recovery. Those are words that, while they make sense in an insurance and liability environment, they make no sense to me if you feel as if there's much more recovery to occur. So with that situation, Melody encouraged me to avail myself on traditional exercise at a gymnasium that was close to our house. I did that for 4 years. During that 4 years, Melody tried to find every alternative that would give me a better opportunity to recover from my status as quadriplegic. Ironically, she found activity-based training. Ironically still, on a family trip out to visit her sister in California, we came across an activity-based training center that we knew nothing about in Central Florida. But we knew that it was the key. And so when we came back to Orlando, a few months later, we came across Mallory. Literally just came across. That was February of 2011. For 6 years, I had never been out of my wheelchair except to move to a couch or move in and out of my bed. I had never stood. I had never gone through the process of reactivating the ability of my body, the muscle memory, to recover. I was blessed. Circumstances with Mallory, however, because we all live our own lives with our own agenda, was that she was no longer going to be there by July, 4 months later. Melody and I were devastated. So we did what we do. We went to Mallory and said, we understand you're leaving, but guess what? We're just starting a new company called Core. Do you want to come? And she said yes. And that's how Core began. So in August of 2011, with no idea what the hell we were doing, excuse me, Mallory took the bit between her teeth and said, I'm going to lead this organization. We were so fortunate. Give Mallory an applause. So Core was started in a 1,000 square foot yoga room in a facility that was giving us that space gratis because we had signed a contract with them to lease 3,500 square feet just across the courtyard starting in November of that year. So Mallory and Dana joined Core and established the foundation that we would move forward with. What did that mean? What it meant was we realized as users of Core services, Melody and I, that it was the right ticket. We knew it was going to create incredible impact for us. We also knew that it wasn't going to be covered by health insurance. And therefore, there was an abundance of people who could use the services that Core was going to develop and deliver in Orlando, but couldn't afford it. And so by September of that year, we started and initiated the Core Foundation. That was a long process. It took us 18 months to ultimately get approved as a foundation to support activity-based training in Central Florida. But we were on the right track. We made great progress. Mallory made great progress. As you can see, she's grown an incredibly adept and professional team. That first full year, 2012, we had a whopping 2 clients in the Core Foundation. We spent, think of it, between the two, $12,000 to support their training. They spent $12,000 to support their training. That gives you an idea of how expensive that process is for those individuals. And just include some boring numbers. By 2015, 3 years later, sorry, the eyes are going bad. The Core Foundation spent $55,000 supporting 14 clients. 6 years later, in 2021, we spent $128,000 supporting 30 clients. And this year, we will surpass $170,000 in support of 41 clients. And we are so excited to have come so far. But here's the pitch. Even though we know that the programs and the passion and the availability of CORE create a great resource, we also know that the availability of those financial resources is really what makes a difference. And as a footnote, one of the things we've been proudest of from day one is when we receive a donation to the Core Foundation, 100% of those dollars go to support the scholarships of the Core clients. Any other costs incurred, administratively, licensed and otherwise, are absorbed by M&M, Matt and Melody. So with that, we are excited about moving forward. We are so excited to be served by the team that Mallory has developed. And you'll hear the stories after me of people who have an impact on the individuals who come to CORE. So thank you very much. We appreciate your presence here. Let me close by giving a special thanks to Sloan and Harris, who had no idea in the spinal cord injury environment within that population, when you get to an anniversary from when you were injured, it's called your living day. I just celebrated my 20th living day. And Sloan and Harris were nice enough to have you all here to celebrate for me. So thank you very much. I'm going to turn it back over to Mallory.
There are only 40 facilities like CORE in the country. That's not even one in every state. When I think of impact, I think if you entered our doors at CORE, you would run into client after client that can share their story on the impact that CORE and the CORE Foundation have had on their life and their recovery journey. All unique in background, their resiliency. But there's one person that truly shines. One of my very first clients, now a team member and leader, and someone that can relate to our clients on a level unlike any other, not just by guiding them, but by joining alongside them, being their voice, their comfort, their mentor, their friend. I introduce one of my dearest friends who's helped make CORE and the CORE Foundation all that it is today, Dana Guest.
Please imagine with me. You're 17 years old, the summer before your senior year of high school, stopped at a red light on a warm June morning, radio playing a song you love. Your last summer of childhood, and your whole life is ahead of you. In an instant, a Mack truck slams into your car from behind, going 55 miles an hour, and everything you thought you knew evaporates. Hi, I'm Dana. Thank you all for being here today. So that was my reality back in 2000. My accident left me with a C6 burst fracture, resulting in an incomplete spinal cord injury, paralyzed from the chest down. I knew immediately, trapped in that car, that I was paralyzed. But it was still hard to hear doctors verbalize to my parents and siblings in those first devastating days. She'll never walk again. She is a quadriplegic. She'll never regain tricep, hand, finger function. She'll need 24/7 care and a power wheelchair for the rest of her life. And oh, by the way, because these injuries were sustained at such a young age, it can significantly impact the length of her life. Imagine hearing those words. Imagine hearing this as a parent about your child. The finality, the hopelessness. My existence seemed to shrink to the size of that hospital room. It felt like I was handed a death sentence. But here's the thing the doctors did not know. From that hospital bed, I made a choice that would not only change my life, but eventually the lives of others I was yet to meet. I made a choice to prove them wrong. I threw myself into rehabilitation. It was humbling to go from a high school athlete playing varsity basketball to someone who could barely feed myself or brush my teeth. On the hard days, my family and friends rallied around me. Realizing I needed more intensive spinal cord injury therapy than what Florida had to offer, my family coordinated a medical flight to Shriners in Philadelphia. While my friends back home in Florida began our senior year of high school, I spent days filled with hours of physical, occupational, and recreational therapy, and nights teaching myself how to move my fingers and write again. I still remember the first time I signed my name. It was messy, but it was mine. That signature wasn't just my name on paper. It was a declaration. It was hope written in shaky handwriting. It was the first step in a journey that would prove that potential is not determined by diagnosis. After 3 months in Philadelphia, I was ready for discharge. I wanted to go home. I proudly rolled myself out of that building in a manual wheelchair, not the power chair doctors said I'd need forever. Back home, I immediately returned to my senior class full-time, who welcomed me with open arms. My friends learned how to transfer me, to break apart my wheelchair, and how to help me use the restroom. They truly demonstrated how the people around us can either limit us or help us grow. At lunch, my friends would watch me struggle to open a straw wrapper for 30 minutes of a 40-minute lunch, and they didn't jump in to help. They let me figure it out. They believed in my ability to adapt, to find a way. That's the kind of support that builds strength, not dependence. It was not easy for them at such a young age, and I am forever grateful. From there, I graduated high school with honors. I learned to drive with hand controls. I began a relationship with my now husband, Joe, who's here today. I went to college and graduated with honors there too. I became a mother to our daughter, Desiree. I built an accessible life. From the outside, it might have looked like I had it all figured out. But now I need to share with all of you something that most people do not realize about spinal cord injuries. When you meet someone in a wheelchair, you might think the biggest challenge is mobility, but the hidden reality is far more complex and scary. People with spinal cord injuries face a cascade of secondary medical complications that traditional medicine often cannot prevent. Severe osteoporosis that makes bones fragile, recurrent urinary tract infections that can become life-threatening, increased risk of pressure wounds, chronic pain, cardiovascular disease, respiratory problems, as well as, go figure, depression. The doctors had warned me that my life would likely be spent going in and out of hospitals fighting these complications. And wouldn't you know, at the age of 27, only 10 years post-injury, this reality hit me when I was diagnosed with osteopenia, the precursor to osteoporosis. Looking at my daughter, who was only 7 years old at the time, I made another choice. I was not going to succumb further to this injury. I went home from that doctor's appointment and started scouring the internet, and that search led me to something I had never been offered in the traditional medical system, as it did not exist at the time of my injury. And that was activity-based training. Activity-based training is not about compensating for what is lost. It's about activating what remains. It is about waking up the nervous system below the level of injury, training the body intensely and intentionally so that the systems most people assume are gone are actually kept alive and working. And the results are not subtle. I met and have trained with Mallory for over 16 years, almost 15 of those years at CORE, and I can confidently say Mallory and CORE changed the trajectory of my life. The work we were doing stabilized my bone density. It stopped the endless cycle of infections. It gave me strength, real physiological and mental strength that protected me from the complications that was supposed to define my life. The reason I live independently, travel, work full-time, parent, and stay out of emergency rooms is because I have access to CORE. I often wonder what more could have been if I had access to activity-based training sooner than 9 years post-injury. Because you see, CORE didn't just preserve my health, it preserved my future. And when you help someone in that way, their impact does not end with them, it ripples. When Matt Davies and his wife Melody set out to build what would become CORE, I knew I had to be a part of it. I am proud to say I served on the founding board of the CORE Foundation and for the last 5 years as client relations coordinator at CORE. I believe I am in a unique position to make a difference. With the knowledge of what it is to truly understand suffering comes the ability to feel compassion for others. It is said that by compassion, we make others' misery our own, and so by relieving them, we relieve ourselves also. Through my work with CORE, I feel I am achieving this. Still, my story is rare, not because I am exceptional. It is rare because this kind of therapy is not covered by traditional medical insurance, making it unaffordable and unattainable for many families. It is also rare because it is not widely available in every community. In fact, this is how I met the Howard family and Noah. In their pursuit of the best recovery options for their son, they have had to live life between their home here and CORE in Orlando. And while I deeply admire and fully support their commitment to Noah's recovery, I also understand their sacrifice. And I see daily how emotionally challenging these obstacles can be on families. Right now, there are newly injured people sitting in hospital rooms being told the same words I heard at 17, words that collapse hope before you've even had a chance to fight for it. If they never find activity-based training or a place like CORE, their story may end exactly the way doctors predict. What if they do? If they roll through our doors at CORE, supported by a true community without fear of being unable to afford care, introduced to activity-based training, surrounded by people who refuse to accept medical decline as fate, their entire trajectory can also change. Their parents will exhale for the first time. Their health will stabilize. Their goals will reignite. Their function and their future will return. So to those of you here tonight who choose to stand with the Howards and their new foundation, you can do hard things. For those who choose to invest in futures you may never meet, and for those who choose to believe that possibility after paralysis is worth fighting for. From the core community, from families like mine, and from the 17-year-old girl I once was. Thank you. Thank you for giving hope and opportunity to thrive. Thank you for helping us make sure no one has to face this journey alone. And thank you for being the reason stories like mine and like Noah's will continue to unfold one life at a time.
At CORE, we believe that movement is more than a physical act. It is a path to hope, independence, and a better quality of life for individuals living with paralysis. Every day, we see recovery that challenges the limits of medicine. Geneva, a Navy veteran and mother of 3, now walking again after a virus resulted in a transverse myelitis diagnosis. Josh, a physician and father who refused to accept that the life after spinal cord injury meant standing still. Elena, who drives herself to CORE and walks in with the confidence she fought hard to regain. And Noah, only 9 years old, still in the early chapters of his recovery, proving to the world with every step that strength, resilience, and courage have no age limits.
I went to sleep with a really bad virus, and shortly after I woke up and realized I couldn't move the right side of my body, I became completely paralyzed from the chest down. From there on out, my life changed forever. At the time, I had a 1-year-old, 4-year-old, and a 6-year-old. I was concerned how I was going to be a mom, wife. When we walked into CORE, the vibe was different. I will come to CORE until they tell me I can't come to CORE. I want to run, jump, skip. I have never met a community like this one.
I woke up in the hospital, unable to move any of my extremities. My biggest fear was my newfound inability to take care of my family. I was a pretzel. I still wasn't able to sit up for long periods without assistance. Since I've been coming here, I've been progressively improving and getting stronger. I haven't used a wheelchair in a few months. CORE is where you go when you need the continued care, but you're unable to get it from another outside source.
I became injured from a really horrible car accident that essentially paralyzed me from the waist down. Told me I wasn't ever going to walk again. I wasn't ever going to live life the way that I used to. I wasn't able to take care of myself in any kind of way. I was in a power wheelchair, got driven here 3 to 4 times a week, did 6 to 8 hours of ABT training that CORE offers, and really helped build my leg muscles, my autonomy back to be able to drive by myself, be able to transfer into like a manual wheelchair, and now I'm able to actually walk with arm crutches into CORE. CORE has a really special place in my heart.
Our activity-based training takes a full-body approach to recovery and focuses on reconnecting the brain and body through movement. We create an environment of possibility and support our clients' life's goals.
What makes CORE one of the leading activity-based training centers in the country is the variety of neuro-recovery equipment and innovative technology we offer. It is our commitment to consistently enhance our program and educate our team on the cutting-edge protocols that are optimizing recovery, like non-invasive spinal cord stimulation with the Onward Arc EX. This is why when the Howard family was looking for the best options for Noah, they chose CORE. And we strongly believe this is due to CORE's program, his family's dedication to his recovery, along with Noah's mindset of an athlete that is demonstrated in every session. Noah has made remarkable progress beyond what medical field initially expected. Our team believes his recovery journey is still unfolding, and we are proud to be with him as it does.
This is why we invite you to move beyond paralysis together. Every step forward transforms a life, and every dollar you give helps make it possible.
They gave me my life back.
Sometimes I forget how impactful our work is until I stop and watch something like that. Hearing those words from our clients So powerful. Matt and Dana may look back and say, what if I had the access to aggressive activity-based training not 5 or 10 years later, but 3 months after injury? We cannot change the past, but we can change the future. Being the selfless individuals they are, I know they find great fulfillment in the doors they have now opened for others over the past 14 years. Which brings me to our final guest, a physician who has treated patients within the first hour after a spinal cord injury, but never thought it'd be him. Paralyzed from the chest down in 2023, where most of his colleagues believed he'd recover very little. Today, after coming by a core, those same physicians are changing the way they treat newly injured patients. You just saw a glimpse of him in the video, and now I'm pleased to introduce Dr. Joshua Powell.
Good night. How are you guys? Good evening. No silence. Good evening, and I want to thank all of you guys for being here to support. We can do hard things in CORE. My name is Dr. Joshua Powell, and I'm a 53-year-old physician. And for nearly 2 decades, I have had the privilege of caring for patients in the hospital, helping them navigate illness, uncertainty, and recovery. But 2.5 years ago, everything changed for me. I sustained a C5 incomplete spinal cord injury. One day I was a doctor making rounds, and the next I was a patient fighting for my life and depending on others and machines just to survive. To go from total independence to total dependence is something you cannot truly grasp until you experience it. I thought going through the rigors of medical school, residency, fellowship was hard, but it doesn't compare. It doesn't compare to recovering from a spinal cord injury. I found myself literally a pretzeled human being in a wheelchair in constant physical pain from nerve injury and neuropathy, and in profound emotional pain from the loss of function, independence, and identity. I was trapped inside a body that would no longer cooperate, facing the healthcare system and the bureaucracy that, despite all of its science and an advancement, was not built for someone with an injury like mine or suffering with similar neurological injuries. As a physician, I thought I understood the system, but as a patient, I realized quickly that the insurance-based model of care is nowhere near adequate. The therapies that truly make a difference, the ones that restore not only movement, but dignity and hope, are often the ones that are not covered by insurance. I tried the traditional insurance-approved physical therapy, and I didn't make that much progress. And then I found CORE, and everything changed. At CORE, the staff treated me as a person, not a diagnosis. They recognized that recovery from a neurological injury is not just about protocols, it's about movement and humanization, rebuilding identity, independence, and community. I finally felt seen after my injury, and I felt believed in. And most of all, I began to recover. CORE is not just a rehab facility, it's a movement of hope. It's a place where where patients become athletes, where families become teammates, and where limitations become goals waiting to be surpassed. That's why your assistance to We Can Do Hard Things and the CORE Foundation is so vital. The foundation, the CORE Foundation exists to remove the financial barriers that prevent people with neurological and neurodegenerative conditions from accessing the level of care that truly changes lives. Through need-based scholarships, the foundation ensures that individuals, regardless of financial circumstances, can receive evidence-based, life-changing rehabilitation. So when you contribute to these foundations, you're not just donating, you're investing in recovery. You're giving someone's son or daughter, husband or wife, mother or father, the chance to move again, to work again, and to live again. I stand here tonight as proof of what's possible when the right people, the right care, the right vision comes together. CORE gave me back more than mobility. It gave me back my purpose. And tonight I'm asking you to give the same gift, the same life-changing gift to countless others who are waiting for a chance to recover. Together we can close the gap between what insurance provides and what people really need. Together we can restore not just function, but hope. And thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for coming. Against my wishes, I'm here to thank everyone for coming. That's the end of our night. I was hoping to not speak, but I was put on the stage to thank everyone for coming. And I really do appreciate all your support, not only tonight, but over the past year as we've gone through tragedy that is turning into lots of hope and love and support. And really means a lot for all of you to check in with us over the year and be here tonight. So thank you very much for coming. See you soon.